The next time I do a live where I'm answering questions, be there, be square. I'll try to give y'all a better heads up next time. I'm not really that cued in and considerate on the live stream chat audience, but I have an invaluable wealth of information. I need one of my channels spread around. So I had just started a channel in 2022 and I was just flexing like a fat fool, not giving a fuck. And I got several hundred subscribers just overnight. And then I decided I want to produce some good content, so I wouldn't really put much up. And I realized, fuck, I have a lot of fat to lose, you know, and I was in a state of mind where I was really sacrificing myself for others. And I believe that this is extremely important. This does get into mythology, and it doesn't break away from what we talk about here, because really when you look at Joseph Campbell and you look at the hero's journey, we are all going through this mythos. And the crazy thing is that the story becomes quite real, and you become the icon, right? And sometimes you have to be the icon that sacrifices yourself so that others can be the icon. And that is where Horus comes in, and this sort of praised worshipful master that the Freemasons look at, right? And they're looking at you, they're watching you, they're seeing, okay, this guy understands that he's got all the perceived power in the world, and he's sacrificing himself for something that he loves more. And he's not even basing that person on merit. Like, they didn't have to do anything to deserve that love. They just had to be who they are. And that's the way I am with my son, right? My younger son. My older son, it's been a battle, right? It's been like the Titans, right? It's been this idea of a new guard, only to realize that it's the same mind. And they're just the powers that be, the cosmos, the zodiac, is impressing upon you something that seems like it's changing, but you become your father. It's the whole Star Wars Luke Skywalker thing, right? You become your father, and you're antithetical. And what Star Wars doesn't want to tell you, just like the original Matrix, is Luke's an evil little fuck. He's a self-serving, self-righteous little shit. And that's why he's not that impressive, and nobody really likes him. And no one, like, when I was a kid, everybody wanted to be like Luke Skywalker. But really, as it turned out, as they got older, it was more Han Solo, Chewbacca. And then it was just straight up fucking Sith, right? It was like, who the fuck wants to be like this pansy boy, right? So he's undeveloped. He's an undeveloped character. He actually brings Darth Vader down. Like, Darth Vader has to supplicate to his simplicity, right? Like, you look at Anakin, he had such a complex view. He was so perspicacious and ontological and intellectual in his pursuits that all the cosmos celebrated him. Whether he became what's considered good or evil, they celebrated him. And he ultimately supplicated to the simplicity, right? He gave into the form. He gave into the ontological resonant factor that all things simplify and go back into themselves. It's not a story of conquest. It's a story to realize that you have to give up all your pursuits about how smart you think you are. That's gone out the door. You see the smartest people succumb to the dumbest things. Strokes, full debilitating, Stephen Hawking. I'm not going to name people because they have their own journey. You can't judge people from the outside because that's not all there is to them. Like, the prevailing factor that the world wants to celebrate is ignoring who you really are. Who you are is the weak part of yourself. And it's not, I know you don't like to hear that, but the weak part of yourself isn't even the part of yourself that you esteem as weak, right? Faggot boy or pansy girl boy or all these presuppositions that don't exist, right? So in Rosicrucianism, they want you to embrace this and to say, oh, suppose you were a faggot. Suppose you were a woman. What then? Look at this woman over here. She'll outlift you. She'll out fucking box you. She'll out, right? Now what do you think a man is? It's kind of like, that's a good question. And you have to stop identifying with the sex. That's really what the heart of the message is that most people don't get, and why Rudolf Steiner and the studies of Rudolf Steiner, why, you know, there's the Waldorf schools, and then there's like Montessori schools that are kind of closely related to this. It's just getting back to the essence of the way we are, you know, inherently. So next time you want any questions answered, I'm not just an NASM, CES, and PES, and have had those for 15. I'm a 30-year long certified personal trainer, and before that, I'm almost 56, and that's what people forget. That's what they fail to see. They just see some dude who's they think's like 35, 40 years old working out, has a decent physique, and it's like, do you fucking know how old I am and what I've seen and where I've come from? But I'm not like that, where I'm like, oh, youngin', because I believe in reincarnation, and I think that some people pick up where they left off in their past lives, and we could learn a lot from people. Okay, but they still need to go through a process. And sometimes what they're after, they can't forget. So they have to hang on to that. And they're seduced into selling themselves out. That's the game, man, the game. The push and pull, the tug of war. It's depicted over and over again. So next time you want some questions answered, I can answer those for you. And I've helped a lot of people that didn't have any fucking reverence toward what I told them. I've helped people become master trainers where I told them one thing and they based their entire lives around that, and then they snubbed me and fucked me over in the end. Can you imagine that? Really taking Kill the Buddha on the road seriously? They'd held you in such high esteem, and the biggest fucking challenge you can ever take on is when your hero, when information comes back about your hero and it brings them down to a human level, are you just going to deceive them and pop it, or are you going to go, wow, life's multifarious, whether I believe it or not, does it detract from what I learned from this person in the moment? And it doesn't. And that's how you have to view your parents. That's how you have to view mentors, teachers, is that you keep that notion alive. And when you see them, this stuff's not talked about. These are things that young and old need to learn. My younger son understands that. I've never pulled the wool over his eyes about my same ability or inability, right, to become corrupt, to be corrupt, but that there's a part of you that loves, unquestionably loves, like I love him, and there's nothing that would take away from that. And I've had to be challenged with that. And in that belief, in that love, there's a transcendence, and it's amazing. I gotta kill this fly, man. And I'm not usually like that. I have lived with a fly for an entire week, unwilling to kill them, and they are nothing but fucking demons. I don't care what any Buddhist says. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I need to experience it for myself, and that's the only thing. And think like that when a Komodo dragon bites you in your leg and you're limping around for 2 days until it gobbles you up. Okay, and I use the Komodo dragon as a general because that is blatantly right in your face. It will swallow your newborn baby. It has no qualms, no reverence, but it isn't just a machine that consumes and eats and terrifies. It is an apex predator that knows that it's passing genetic information on and that it can't show any sign of weakness, or it will mean the end of the line of succession. It is an attribute, if you will, on some levels, and it's a condition of life on another. And it displays not that the ontology is correct, it shows that the ontology is entirely evil, you know? Yeah, I'm still trying to kill it. Slow after my workout. But see, today was an extra workout, and then tomorrow will be an extra workout. I might do another workout tonight. And it's just this anabolic chasing that when you start to understand how anabolic sugar is, how sugar and protein creates this inception of rapid recovery into the cell. I think that's a dead fly. These flies hatch and they'll make your life hell. Ooh. I'm not going to get too philosophical. I just want to, and I'm trying to kill it with my uncle's old sweatshirt. We weren't close. There was a time when we could have been close. You know, when I walked down those same streets that Jack Parsons lived in and around in Pasadena, when David could have shown me the pure aspects of life and assisted me, which he tried to. It's usually going to come at the worst time in your life and the best time in your life, right? I didn't know what he'd been through. I never really asked him. I never even brought it up. Never even brought it up. But I heard through my my younger son that his daughter died, and I never heard about that. I mean, many years ago, I heard that she had died. I didn't know that Mary Elizabeth died. I'm going to tell you, people, death is much closer than you think. And you can get back to something where you instantly realize that death is not the end. Like the celebration that, wow, I get to begin again, right? The attitude, the energy that a downhill longboard skater has in that moment, that's who they really are. When they step off, all the bullshit comes, right? But the truth about who you are in the moment, that is actualizing. And when people are, let's go through self-actualizing rituals. Let's bounce up and down and fart on a ball. Let's dance like a bunch of weird-ass fucking freak idiots. Trance dance, bro. It just smells like fucking curry farts inside this room, trapped in there with all these fucking demonic people. Now, you find yourself and you actualize when you're just getting the fuck out and doing it, right? But that doesn't mean that if you're not fit enough, you just go run and hurt yourself. But it doesn't mean don't do that. Like you take some 290-pound fat fuck, which we're all capable of being, right? And say you make it a half mile and you feel a cramp and you're like, I'm going to push it a little more. And you learn something about yourself in less than a mile. Less than a mile, you learned something. You learned your limit. And you're like, I don't accept that as a limit. And you just keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself. And I'm going to tell you, the carnivore is not going to give you that. But what it will give you is it will get unquestionably reset you back to a place of really karma, dharma, humility. Because there you are eating the fucking meat, shitting out the meat. I mean, it's a primal thing. Most people don't like the experience. Right? Especially vegetarians, vegans, they don't like the experience. I like to try and let flies out. They'll go right next to the door and then they'll go the other way and say, fuck you. It's like my ex-wife. It's not even funny anymore. Never was funny, because people who are juxtaposed and antithetical to you, that's no way of living or being. You know, that means that you are entirely reliant on what other people do, that you will do the contrary and opposite. Tell me you don't know a lot of people like that. They will just sit juxtaposed and antithetical to whatever you do because they know you're probably right and they want to prove everything wrong. And so there's an entity that mocks you and says, I'll bet you won't continue to do what's right when we make you think it's wrong. Ha 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 ha, says Michael Aquino. Ha ha ha, says the Monarch fucking project that was going, Operation Monarch that was going on, molesting kids around the Presidio. Right? You can get way deep into it. The Delphi murders, the Atlanta murders, the stuff that the Underclass podcast, Austin Picard talks about. Like, he needs to get away from all those losers that he does these, other than JJ and obviously the what is it, the rejects. I'm thinking ontological esoteric. whatever it's called. I posted it up. I'm distracted by this damn fly. I'm gonna kill this fucking thing. Because I stink and I'm working out, and it reminds me of my humanity and the disgustingness. And when I think that I have predisposed authority on consciousness, a fly comes up and says, nah, you got a stinky ass, you got stinky feet. I don't give a fuck what you say. I don't give a fuck I'm dying in 24 hours. I don't give a shit. I'll just pop right back out and be a fly. Like, flies really don't give a fuck. If you really want to get down to base level. And a lot of people live this way. And they're treated this way. They're treated like when they say treated like animals, or the animus. Okay, I'm gonna try killing this thing. I think I got it. Or it's just playing dead. Yeah, because they hatch in your food. And then both my son and I weren't killing these spiders because we thought, okay, a fly is going to come along. And then sure enough, somehow these flies are hatching. And all the fucking flies are out centering around your balls and your fucking armpits. No spiders are eating. What the fuck's going on? So, I mean, there's something fatally flawed with nature, all right? And it is centered around annoying the fuck out of you. And if you think that spiders and their webs aren't centered around electromagnetism, if you think that flies aren't flying around based on electromagnetic energy, think again, and you are the amplifier of that energy. They are out to annoy the fuck out of you. I'm sure that it can be proven. And once you see the world that way, is everything against you? And it's like, damn straight, you've known it your whole life. So what are you going to do about it? The only thing that you can do, and I say this over and over, but from a completely different point of regard, right? I'm thinking whether or not I want to take in some amino acids, but I know that's going to just add to the fatness. So you know what I want to do? I'm taking in a little bit more beef liver instead. After my workout, along with sugar. All right. Something has to sacrifice itself so you can live. Women begin to realize this and they see a more localized pattern as they're communicated with, and they sign their own sons off to war, and they're aware of it. They know it. They never would admit it. They never have to admit it. They never will admit it. But the higher level witches will admit it. And they'll even tell. You get into the Delphi murders and how weird that shit is. You can sacrifice things in people. You can get the attention of so-called gods that are just fucking witches. Those who have deified themselves and been deified through a unholy, or really holy with an H. There's holes in it. They have tortured me, ruined my life, and exempted me. And exalted me. I have seen a witch come right at me with a blazoned eye, move through shadow realms and come right up on me and stick me right in the side with a silver pin with a pearl or opal head and cram it right into my chest. And you'll see that area is inflamed and has been since I was a little kid. She just dug it deep into my chest. It wasn't my heart, but if I was really fucked up and untrue, it would be my heart. These are the ontological, esoteric, arcane things that are written in grimoire where we finish it. And you can change the story. You can change the narrative. You can trump, so to speak, the narrative and the story that's been written that pre-seals your fate. You already know it. It's already in you. And it gets into these abstract, murky, mercurial aspects of nebulous things where it's like the one. And you're like, can you stop talking in riddles? And it's not a riddle because it's a quantum machine where you have to decide what your reality is. And when you realize this, some people are so selfish, they just think, oh, life's easy. This is my reality. Oh, why are these people dying? Why are these people being knocked off? What's going on? I have nothing to do with it. And they have everything to do with it. There's only so much spiritual energy. We're like ships moving through the night. Not necessarily in ocean. You know, these phantom ships that are reported, just floating through the mist. You couldn't just identify it. It's in another time. It's in another dimension. It's in another space. No, right now there's a junction point and you can see it. You could say it more like it's traveling through the light of pain. And then it just sounds like, that's abstract. And when you look at it, you're like, that's a clear-cut definition if you use quantum physics. You become the event. Then it's going to be really tough to even be selfish when you don't have a self at all. But there are actionable deeds that rectify, reset, and clarify what you are doing. And that's why they call it exercising out your demons. But what are you open to? Once you clean the house, once you clear it, what's there? So a lot of people think of purity as nothing, and purity is everything. That clean house, for a moment, has purity. That clean heart, in the moment, that never has to end, has purity. So a lot of times they're talking about this red light and this blue light. Think I didn't understand this? It's a transfiguration of how we perceive purity when we're abstracted from it, when we're paces from it. When we go into the existential, when we're forced into the existential. You either have sacrifice, if you've sacrificed yourself, or if you've sacrificed others, you get to the blue light. So there's an inversion aspect to the blue light. There's a very dark, abysmal sort of blue. And there's a very expression-based light, ultraviolet light that's very powerful, and it is expression. And so what happened is there's an inversion where we chose, without realizing we were choosing, a democratic process, an egalitarian process that is fucking evil. We are sacrificing children. We are sacrificing the purity in us. On the outside of us, we are burning it on altars so that we don't have to do so much. Can you imagine that? When you really come down to the fact that you're just a lazy motherfucker? By proxy. It's all by proxy. And then if you get up and fight the wars, you're fighting for no good reason. You're dying for no good reason. You're just adding to it. They're waiting for you on the other side. And the truth is there isn't another side. It's all the same side. That's the problem. And so a density in the computational system, a weight, a sort of, this is a poor analogy, but it's closer to it. A materia prima, a first substance, has mass. It's not the type of mass or gravity that we're used to measuring here, but it's what holds everything together, and it probably is a lot closer to nuclear energy. Strong force, weak force, that holds everything together. And I believe that that's where 0 point energy actually takes place. It's in a flux pattern. As electromagnetism drops off, the nuclear force becomes that a little stronger, right? In that moment, you just stay in that moment. It's inferred in windmills, right? They're gyros. They're undulating energy systems in flux. And they really are the Merkaba and the spinning spheres. And how they just seem to make up the field around them. And it's called blank slate infusion. I never heard of that term before. I came up with it 15 years ago. And then I found out that people were using that term and that it was even used in CIA papers. You'll be given every bit of information. You don't have to search for any of it. You'll be given the answer, and then everybody's going to go, how the fuck did you come up with the answer? You couldn't know the answer. You realize it and you know it and you could describe it, but not by the mechanism of what they consider valid. And what's considered valid today will be invalid tomorrow. That's why Alice in Wonderland was not some happenstance thing, and that guy was a pervo for hanging out with young Alice. Let's get down to the fucking point here, Epstein. And she swore he was a good man her whole life. Because the victims think that they were set free. It's kind of like, do you really think you were that beautiful or special? That stinky vag between your legs, those disgusting nipples, that's just fucking carnal dukkha dharma karma shit. Why do you think we did all those things to you as a child? Right? They humiliate you, they bring you down. And then they bring you to their playing field and say, you're just like us. We saw in you that you needed to be taken through the process, like the process church. You needed to have wisdom. We saw it in you. We could feel it. A voice told us. Right? So they act like there's some ontological process to this thing. And then they bow down with all their weird fancy suits and shit and say, oh, we're delivering to you this young child through some weird fucking process with mushrooms on their heads and shit. But it's keeping us trapped in the most asinine, futile efforts, and that's where they want to keep you. They do not want you to ascend. And ascension, I'll tell you, just happens. And it doesn't mean that your body is going to ascend. But I'm going to tell you a couple of things that sound really crazy. And that is, one is you need to keep your iron levels up, your blood iron levels up. It will keep them away from you. You need to build yourself up. And it's just crazy how it works. And I remember Steve Mira talking about how you should keep iron on you, how he'll keep like a nail or whatnot. But the truth is when you're taking in like beef liver or high iron, taking in vitamin C, the spiritual attacks will lessen. So let me ask you again, does that sound more like technology? Right? You're disturbing the alchemical rhythm. You're disturbing their fucking motherboard. You're no longer a part of the motherboard. You're dysfunct. The other thing that Steve Mira talks about is he did talk about how sugar makes you weak, but the truth is, it's not sugar that makes you weak. It's sugar and fat that make you weak. sugar is anabolic. It's going to make you grow. So when you're taking in iron-rich foods and you're taking in vitamin C, sugar is going to be good for you. Now, what they mean is like crappy food like pastries, right? Where there's a lot of fat and it's going to make you fat. You always want to separate carbohydrates from fat. And this is a very esoteric thing. It's arcane, man. It seems like you think it's just this rudimentary sort of dietary preference, but you'll see. And the crazy thing is that we're really attracted to health on a spiritual scale, if that even exists. You know, I always say we're bad robots who are constantly on the edge of committing suicide and self-annihilating. So here we are. We got many hours of walking. I don't know fucking how long I've gone. I'd be walking outside in mountainous areas or down the streets of Pasadena. I don't fucking know how long I've gone. I just kept walking. Sometimes when I had these blisters on my feet and I reached the so-called destination, I would just turn around and go walk another 4 or 5 miles. Who fucking cares at that point? I want to see how far I can go. 25, 30 miles a day. Just walk, walk, walk. You think it's easy? You try it. Try going 10 miles. Well, I would walk a marathon every fucking day. Nobody's waiting for you. Nobody's cheering. When you go into the gym and you do the impossible and you're living on nothing but like protein powder, which is what I used to do. That's all I had. I didn't have a dime for anything else. And I got that protein powder by just taking it. I ran out of energy. And I hobbled back to a very toxic family that I never had to see again. But I missed my son. My heart was with my son, and I didn't know what to do, and nothing's been remedied since. There was no capricious God that came to save anyone. And the prayers, the want, the desire for justice, it comes 13, 15 years too late. The message is received and it comes at the worst possible time. That's where they use that term, God's time. Meaning it's a galactic cycle. And you have to get in tune with it. So walk, walk, walk. More sugar, more walk, more walk. So I would think that I'd be OD'd on not just caffeine by now, but sugar. But this tea is so low in sugar content that 159-ounce bottle only contains about, what is it, 5 times, less than 200 grams of sugar, right? So a lot of people might think that's a lot, but when that's all you're taking in, and then you're just doing rice, and I cook the rice in the tea as well, because that's the only filtered water that I have. And it's going to last me through the day. It's getting me through a day. It's really accelerating me through the day. And I'm surprised, because I've never really done this where I've gone, okay, we're just focusing on glucose. My workout, I was able to go and transition through exercise by exercise with very little rest. What was taking me 30 or 40 minutes is taking me like 20 minutes. The intensity was up there. The pump lasts for a long time from the sugar. The glycogen replacement is immediate. The protein that's already in my system is being rapidly delivered. My body is more efficient, fuller, more anabolic, and I keep craving more trimethylglycine. And I've already taken like 10 grams, 10,000 milligrams. But I'm grateful for having the tools to be able to use this time, and I'm going to be doing some live streams and coming at you every single day. This is just an extra added aspect to my training where I might as well do it. I might as well document it while I'm going through my walk, you know? And it's a battle. The end all goal, is it your wants, needs, desires? What is the end of you? Like one really cryptic, low-level Mason kept asking me is, what is it you want? And it's like, I don't have to answer you. It's not about what I want. It's about the principles that I know are more important than what you want or what I want. It's about purity. And you are not my friend, and you are not pure. And I am not pure, and I am not pure in your presence. And I don't need to be in your presence, and I don't need to be around this witch, this bitch of a sister here, who's got these demonic eyes, cheats on everybody, takes my ex-wife out and shows her how to do things. Terrible role model. Terrible person. Dark, demonic, evil. So, I don't need to, and you don't need to answer questions that are posed to you that are accusatory or anything else. That's the beauty of our time. You don't have to answer jack fucking shit. You're not running for Senate. And the Senate is an illusion. It doesn't even exist. It's a bunch of these horny, weird-ass motherfuckers who are not on the top. They're on the bottom. They're the bottom feeders. Everything's inverted. When people begin to really see it, there's not going to be any hesitation. Trump's a fat, fucking corrupt bozo. He practically trips over his own feet. He's a dork. He's a powerless fucking dork. A liar. A fucking used car salesman. Nobody has any power over you. But hopefully, and hope is a part of it, principles are your reigning factor. That purity is the reigning factor. And that gives us all hope. That gives us all a reason to live. And if that isn't your reason for living, then there's a real problem there, right? And then we get into witch hunts and we get into issues, but now you can kind of see why a system like this ever existed. Like I said, picture us playing right at God's feet. And we're doing all these weird ass things, porn, drugs, but we're still just stupid children thinking that we're getting away from God. But you can never get away from God, and you're right there at his feet. Being dumb as fuck, right? And then one day you want to be woke. You want to wake up. You want to realize yourself. And then you realize all your sins. And you want to pretend, sociopathically, paracosum, you want to pretend you didn't do any of those things. And you really didn't, because you have these amazing little children of God who can do witchcraft and do all sorts of fucking psychosomatic bullshit on each other and actually think that that's doing something. He's just looking at you like a collage, watching you do these fucking stupid ass paintings, reinventing the fucking wheel, fucking with the cosmos, and it's just fucking finger painting. It's just fucking, it's just talentless finger painting. One child sucks their cheeks in. Look how good I am, Papa. Nobody's good. Nobody's that good. And the acceptance of the self is really the acceptance of other people. And the realization that principles, but mainly purity, is the most important thing. And then when we get back to that, boredom happens again. And it's like, how long is this going to go on? And then you have to realize you're not abstracted from God. You're just dandelions blowing around God's fucking head. You never existed. An aphorism. And I always love that. I always like to think of a song as a gesture. Ben Howard, man, that's brilliant. That's why he's such a brilliant artist. It's whimsical. It's notional. It's whatever it wants to be. It's the downhill longboard skateboarder just living in the moment. That's all life was ever supposed to be. And these motherfuckers who complicate this shit, they're called joy stealers. Zig Ziglar used to talk about this back in the day. They're joy stealers. They have no self. They have no soul. And this is a very critical issue, is that they will just disappear. And you want to know something? We don't want them to disappear. Because as much as you hate all the fake, false people, like in the Nag Hammadi or the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? You have the gospel of truth is about these jars, these air jars that shouldn't exist. But when you look at all the people who are fucking your life up, and you go home and you talk to your mom's one of them, or one of your siblings is one of them. You don't equate that. You don't put it together. It's too hard for you. It's too harsh. But when you realize this person either wants purity and they want to live in a state of purity, and they already have achieved perfection, and it's just the harmony of being, and that should be enough. And then you see, my sibling isn't like that. My parent isn't like that. They couldn't reach a point of just stasis and peace. So while you're railing against the machine, you're protecting it and feeding it, and it's your whole reason for going to work every day. Don't you see it? It's insane, isn't it? So you have to focus back on the principles. It's the only thing you can do. And when people do this in a collective, it's about your energy. Imagine how many brothers and sisters and parents you've probably had throughout incarnations, throughout lifetimes. The false ones aren't going to go on. They just won't. You don't have to do anything. You're keeping them alive by feeding into the entropy-based agitation system. You just have to stop worrying. You just have to let go. You know? And that may even mean physically dying. But let me ask you something. How real was this ever? How authentic was it? How authentic can it be when you are trying to self-actualize? And as you do this, you get further from even knowing yourself, yet you knew from the time you were born, long before that you were a one, that you were a person, that you were a part of the one. You knew this about yourself. They never questioned it. They never question it. They only think they're like Komodo dragons. Okay? They only think about their stomach. They are limbic system based life forms. If you want to break it down and say it's part of Mars and Maldek and all this other shit, be my guest. By the time that's all proven, if it was able to be proven, you'd be long dead. Oh no, AI is going to answer it. How do you know? How can you vet? That's the thing about AI. There's no vetting beyond that. Don't you see the conundrum we're in? What are you going to use to vet AI? AI.